my channel. I'll be like, look, this big plot twist that happened. I knew it was coming because I read it before, but if you predicted it, then tell me in the comments. I really doubt you could have predicted it. But maybe you saw the movie, in which case that would be cheating. Exactly 30 pages. Outside. I run from the office. The hallway stretches out before me and is endless. I'm in the airlock and it is windless. I'm outside and my breath is soundless. My heart is beatless. I vomit all the nothing in my stomach. Bile burns the back of my throat. I'm crying and the cool morning air chills the tears on my face. I'm laughing and the cold invades my lungs. I'm not sick. I've never been sick. All the emotions I've held in check over the past 24 hours crash over me. Hope and despair, anticipation and regret, joy and anger. How is it possible to have an emotion and its opposite at the same time? I'm struggling in a black ocean, a life jacket across my chest, an anchor on my leg. My mom catches up to me. Her face is a ruin of fear. What are you doing? What are you doing? You have to get inside. My vision tunnels and I hold her in my sights. Why, Mom? Why do I have to go inside? Because you're sick. Bad things could happen to you out here. She reaches out to me to pull me toward her, but I jerk away from her. No, I'm not going back in. Please, she begs. I can't lose you too, not after everything. Her eyes are on me, but I know without doubt that she's not seeing me at all. I lost them. I lost your dad and I lost your brother. I couldn't lose you too. I just couldn't. Her face crumbles, falls completely apart. Whatever structures were holding it up give way in a sudden and catastrophic failure. She's broken. She's been broken for a long time. Carla was right. She never recovered from their deaths. I say something. I don't know what, but she keeps talking. Right after they died, you got so sick. You wouldn't breathe right, and I drove you to the emergency room, and we had to stay there for 3 days. And they didn't know what was wrong. They said it was probably an allergy. They gave me a list of things to stay away from, and I knew it was more than that. She nods her head. I knew it was more than that. I had to protect you. Anything can happen to you out here. She looks around. Anything can happen to you out here. In the world. I should feel compassion, but that's not what I feel. Anger rises in me and crowds everything else out. I'm not sick, I scream. I've never been sick. You're the one. I stab the air in front of her face. I watch it as she shrinks into herself and disappears. Come inside, she whispers. I'll protect you. Stay with me. You're all I have. Her pain is endless. It falls off the ends of the world. Her pain is a dead sea. Her pain is for me, but I cannot bear it anymore. Fairy tales. Once upon a time, there was a girl whose entire life was a lie. The void. A universe that can wink into existence can wink out again. Beginnings and ends. 4 days pass. I eat. I do homework. I don't read. My mom walks around in a fugue state. I don't think she understands what's happened. She seems to realize that she has something to atone for, but she's not sure exactly what it is. Sometimes she tries to talk to me, but I ignore her. I barely even look at her. The morning after I realized the truth, Carla took samples of my blood to the SCID specialist, Dr. Chase. We're in his office now, waiting to be called. And even though I know that what he'll say, I'm dreading the actual medical confirmation. Who will I be if I'm not sick? A nurse calls my name and I ask Carla to stay in the waiting room. For whatever reason, I want to hear this news alone. Dr. Chase stands when I walk in. He looks just like the photos of him on the web. Older white man with graying hair and bright black eyes. He looks at me with a mixture of sympathy and curiosity. He gestures for me to sit and waits until I do to sit himself. Your case, he begins and then stops. He's nervous. It's okay, I say. I already know. He opens a file on his desk, shakes his head like he's still puzzled at the results. I've gone over these results time and time again. and I had my colleagues check to be absolutely certain. You're not sick, Miss Whittier. He stops and waits for me to react. I shake my head at him. I already know, I say again. Carla, Nurse Flores, filled me in on your background. He studiously flips through a few more pages, trying to avoid saying what he says next. As a doctor, your mother would have known this. Granted, SCID is a very rare disease and it comes in many forms, but if you have none, absolutely none of the telltale signs of the disease. But if she did any research, any tests at all, she would have known that. The room falls away and I'm in a featureless white landscape dotted with open doors that lead nowhere. He's looking at me expectantly when I finally come back to my body. I'm sorry, did you say something? I ask. Yes, you must have some questions for me. Why did I get sick in Hawaii? People get sick, Madeline. Normal, healthy people get sick all the time. But my heart stopped. Yes, I suspect myocarditis. I spoke with the attending in Hawaii as well. She suspected the same thing. Basically, at some point in your past, you probably had a viral infection that weakened your heart. Had you been experiencing any chest pain or shortness of breath when you were in Hawaii? Yes, I say slowly, remembering the squeezing of my heart that I'd willfully ignored. Well, myocarditis seems like a likely candidate. I don't have any other questions, not for him anyway. I stand. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Chase. He stands too, agitated and seeming even more nervous than before. Before you go, there's one more thing. I sit back down. Because of the circumstance of your upbringing, we're not sure about the state of your immune system. What does that mean? We think it's possible that it's underdeveloped, like an infant's. An infant? Your immune system hasn't been exposed to a lifetime of common viruses and bacterial infections. It hasn't had time to get experience with fighting these infections. It hasn't had time to get strong. So, I'm still sick? He leans back in his chair. I don't have a good answer for you. We're in uncharted territory here. I've never heard of a case like this. It may mean that you'll get sick more often than people with healthy immune systems. Or it may mean that when you do get sick, you'll get very severely sick. How will I know? I don't think there's any way to know. I recommend caution. We schedule weekly follow-up visits. He tells me that I should take it slow as I start to see the world. No big crowds, no unfamiliar foods, no exhaustive physical activity. The world isn't going anywhere, he says as I leave. After the death of. I spend the next few days searching for more information, for anything that will explain what happened to me and what happened to my mother. I want a diary with her thoughts laid out in legible ink. I want her madness clearly delineated so that I can trace its history and my own. I want details and explanations. I want to know why and why and why. I need to know what happened, but she can't tell me. She's too damaged. And if she could, would it make a difference? Would I understand? Would I understand the depth of grief and fear that could have led her to take my entire life away from me? Dr. Chase tells me that he thinks she needs a therapist. He thinks it might be a long time before she's able to tell me exactly what happened, if ever. He guesses that she suffered some sort of breakdown after my dad and brother died. Carla uses all her persuasive powers trying to convince me not to leave home. Not just for my mom's sake, but for my own. My health is still an unknown. I consider emailing Ollie, but so much time has passed. I lied to him. He's probably moved on. He's probably found someone else. I'm not sure I can endure any more heartbreak. And what would I say? I'm almost not sick. In the end, Carla convinces me to stay with my mom. She says I'm a better person than that. I'm not so sure. Whoever I was before I found out the truth has died. Whoever I was before I found out the truth has died. 1 week AD. I have my first weekly visit with Dr. Chase. He urges caution. I install a lock on my bedroom door. 2 weeks AD. So she has 4 email drafts. I think we know who they're to. January 19th, I'm sorry I miss you. January 20th, how are you? January 21st, big news. January 22nd, my mom. 3 weeks AD. My mom tries to enter my room, but the door is locked with me in it. She goes away. I draft more emails to Ollie that I don't send. Dr. Chase continues to urge caution. 4 weeks AD. I paint each wall in my room a different color. The one by my window is a pale butter yellow. The shelves are sunset orange against a peacock blue wall. The wall by my headboard is lavender, and the final one is black with chalkboard paint. My mom knocks on my door, but I pretend not to hear her. She goes away. 5 weeks AD. I order real plants for the sunroom. I deprogram the air filters and open the windows. I buy 5 goldfish and name them all Ollie and let them loose in the fountain. 6 weeks AD. Dr. Chase insists that it's too soon for me to attempt enrolling in high school. Too many kids with too many illnesses. Carla and I persuade him to let some of my tutors visit in person as long as they're well. He is reluctant, but he agrees. Madeline's mom. This is, looks like a letter? No, it's not a letter. It says, Family Psychiatry Services, Margaret Stevenson. February 23rd. Filed on February 26th. Patient, Pauline Whittier, female, 51. Abstract. Patient is finally able to recount the night that her husband and son died. She still speaks of it in the present tense. It's clear we have some work to do. Transcript. Did you know that police officers touch their weapons when they're nervous? It's a tic. I noticed it in the ER whenever they brought in gang members or robbers. I think touching it calms them. 2 of them came to the house after it happened. 1 male, 1 female. Do they do that on purpose? 1 male, 1 female? The female officer did all the talking, and she was touching her gun the whole time. She called me ma'am. I think she wanted me to guess her news so she wouldn't have to say it out loud. I'm a doctor. I'm used to giving bad news, but she wasn't. She kept talking. She told me what happened, but I wasn't there anymore. I was back in the nursery with Maddie. I was rubbing her belly. She was sick again. She was always sick. Ear infections, diarrhea, bronchitis. The female officer kept talking, and I just wanted her to stop. I wanted everything to just stop. No more crying baby, no more sickness, no more hospitals, no more death. If only everything would just stop for once. Just stop. Flowers for Algernon. A week later, Carla and I watch as Mr. Waterman makes his way across the lawn and to his car to leave. I hugged him before he left. He was surprised, but didn't question it, just hugged me back like it was perfectly natural. I stay outside for a few minutes after he's left, and Carla waits with me. She's trying to find a way to gently break my already broken heart. So, she begins. I know what she's going to say. She's been gearing up to say it all day. Please don't leave me, Carla. I still need you. Her eyes are on me, but I can't bear to look at her. She doesn't deny what I've said, just takes my hand in hers. If you really, truly need me to stay, I'll stay. She squeezes my fingers. But you don't need me. I'll always need you. I don't try to stop the tears from coming. But not like before, she says gently. Of course she's right. I don't need her to be here with me for 8 hours a day. I don't need constant care. But what will I do without her? My tears turn into enormous sobs, and she holds me in her arms and lets me cry until I reach the end of them. What will you do? She wipes at my face with the side of her hands. I might go back to working in a hospital. Did you already tell my mom? This morning. What did she say? She thanked me for taking care of you. I don't try to hide my scowl. She holds my chin. When are you going to find it in your heart to forgive her? What she did is not forgivable. She was sick, honey. She's still sick. I shake my head. She took my whole life away from me. Even now, thinking about all the years I've lost makes me feel like I'm on the lip of an enormous chasm, like I could fall in and never come back out. Carla nudges me back to the present. Not your whole life, she says. You still have a lot left. We go back inside. I follow her around, watching her pack her things for the last time. Did you ever read Flowers for Algernon? I asked. Yes. Did you like it? No, not my kind of book. Not enough hope in it. Made you cry, didn't it? She shakes her head no, but then confesses, Okay, yes, like a baby. We both laugh. The gift. A week later, my mom knocks on my door. I remain where I am on the couch. She knocks again more insistently, and my resentment rises. I'm not sure that our relationship will ever recover. It's hard for me to forgive her when she doesn't fully understand her crime. I fling open the door as she's about to knock again. Now's not a good time, I say. She flinches, but I don't care. I want to hurt her again and again. My anger is never very far away. I expected it to fade with the passage of time, but it's still right there under the surface of things. She takes a breath. I got you something. Her voice is small and confused. I roll my eyes. You think presents will help? I know I've heard her again. The present shakes in her hand. I take it because I just want the conversation to be over. I want to lock myself away from her and not have to feel pity or empathy or compassion or anything. She turns to go, but then stops. I still love you, Madeline, and you still love me. You have your whole life ahead of you. Don't waste it. Forgive me. The end is the beginning is the end. I open the present for my mom. It's a phone. It's open to a weather app with a forecast for the week, bright and sunny every day. I have to get out of the house. I go outside not knowing where I'm going until I get there. Fortunately, the ladder is right where Ollie left it. I climb up to his roof. The orrery's still there and still beautiful. The tinfoil suns and moons and stars dangle and twist and reflect the sun's rays back out into the bigger universe. I nudge one of the planets and the entire system rotates slowly. Excuse me. I understand why Ollie made it. It's soothing to see an entire world at once, to see the pieces and know how it all fits together. Was it really just 5 months ago that I was last up here? It feels like a lifetime ago, like several lifetimes. And the girl that was here, was that really me? Do I have anything in common with that past Maddie except a strong resemblance and a shared name? When I was younger, one of my favorite activities was imagining alternate universe versions of myself. Sometimes I was a rosy-cheeked outdoorsy girl who ate flowers and hiked alone uphill for miles. Or I was a skydiving, drag racing, adrenaline-fueled daredevil. Or a chainmail-wearing, sword-swinging dragon slayer. It was fun to imagine those things because I already knew who I was. Now, I don't know anything. I don't know who I'm supposed to be in my new world. I keep trying to pinpoint the moment when everything changed. The moment that set my life on this path. Was it when my dad and brother died? Or was it before that? Was it when they first got into the car on the day they died? Was it when my brother was born? Or when my mom and dad met? Or when my mom was born? Maybe it was none of those. Maybe it was when the truck driver decided he wasn't too tired to drive. Or when he decided to become a truck driver in the first place. Or when he was born. Or any of the infinite number of moments that led to this one. So, if I could change one moment, which one would I pick? And would I get the results I want? Would I still be Maddie? Would I have lived in this house? Would a boy named Ollie have moved in next door? Would we have fallen in love? Chaos theory says that even a small change in initial conditions can lead to wildly unpredictable results. A butterfly flaps her wings now, and a hurricane forms in the future. Still, I think if I could just find the moment, I could take it apart, piece by piece, molecule by molecule, until I got down to the atomic level, until I got to the part that was inviolate and essential. If I could take it apart and understand it, then maybe I could just exactly make the right change. I could fix my mom and make it so she was never broken. I could understand how I came to be sitting on this roof at the beginning and at the end of everything. Future Perfect number 2, from Madeline to generic user 033. By the time you read this, you will have forgiven me. And there's a plane ticket that says take off. March 11th, Madeline Whittier from LAX in Los Angeles to JFK, New York. So she's flying from Los Angeles to New York. Forgiveness. I stare out the window of the plane and see miles and miles of greenery sectioned into perfect squares. Dozens of mysterious blue-green pools lie below, glowing at their edges. From so high up above it, the world seems ordered and deliberate. But I know it's more than that, and less. It is structured and chaotic, beautiful and strange. Dr. Chase was not happy with my decision to fly so soon, but anything can happen at any time. Safety is not everything. There's more to life than being alive. To her credit, my mom didn't try to stop me when I told her last night. She swallowed all her fear and panic, even though she still doesn't fully believe that I'm not sick. Her doctor's brain struggles to reconcile what she's believed for so long against the evidence of too many other doctors, too many tests. I'm trying to put myself in her shoes, playing games not of cause and effect, but of effect and cause. I go back and back and back, and I always end up in the same place. Love. Love makes people crazy. Loss of love makes people crazy. My mother loved my father. He was the love of her life, and she loved my brother. He was the love of her life, and she loves me. I am the love of her life. The universe took my dad and brother away. For her, it was the Big Bang in reverse, everything that became nothing. I can understand that. Almost. I am trying to. When will you come home? She asked, and I told her the truth. I don't know if this is home anymore. She cried then, but she still let me go, and that has to count for something. Eventually, the cloud cover grows too thick for me to see much of anything. I relax into my seat and reread The Little Prince, and just like every time I've read it before, the meaning changes. Life is short. Spoiler reviews by Madeline. The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. Spoiler alert. Love is worth everything. Everything. This life. Even at 9 a.m. on a Saturday, New York City is just as loud and jam-packed as it's famous for being. The streets are filled with honking, slow-moving cars. The sidewalks teem with people just narrowly missing each other as if their movements were choreographed. From the back of the cab, I let the noise and smells of the city wash over me. I open my eyes wide to take in all the world I see. I didn't tell Ollie what I was up to, just that there was a present waiting for him at a used bookstore close to his house. I imagined our reunion for almost the entire flight. Every scenario involved us kissing within the first 30 seconds. The driver drops me off outside of Ye Old Bookshop. I push through the doors. Right away, I know that I will eventually spend a lot of time here. The store is a small single room with floor-to-ceiling shelves, each overflowing with books. The room is dimly lit by small pen lights attached to each shelf so that books are just about all you see. The air smells like nothing I've ever imagined. It smells old, as if it's been in the same place for a very long time. I have 15 minutes before Ollie will be here. I wander the aisles, gawking at all the books. I want to touch them all at once. I want to add my name to all the people who read them before me. I trace my fingers across the spines. Some are so worn, so well used that I can barely make out the titles. I check the time on my phone. It's almost time. I make my way to the end of the SU aisle and hide. My butterflies have come back. A minute later, and I watch as he walks slowly down the aisle, examining the shelves. His hair has grown in. He has big floppy curls that soften the angles of his face. Also, he's not wearing all black. Well, his jeans and sneakers are black, but his t-shirt is gray, and I think he's taller somehow. More than anything I've experienced in the last few weeks, saying goodbye to Carla, leaving home against Dr. Chase's advice, leaving my mom in her sadness, seeing him looking so different causes me the most panic. Don't know why I expected him to be the same. I'm not. He takes out his phone to read my instructions again. So there's like the phone with the text messages from Madeline to Ollie. There's a present waiting for you. 10 a.m. Ye Old Bookshop, aisle S-U. You'll know it when you see it. He slips the phone into his pocket and looks back at the shelves. I place the book, cover facing out, in front of all the others so he'd be sure not to miss it. He doesn't. But instead of picking it up, he slips his hands into his pocket and stares. A few days ago, when I was communing with the orrery, I was trying so hard to find the single pivotal moment that set my life on its path. The moment that answered the question, how did I get here? But it's never just one moment, it's a series of them. And your life can branch out from each one in 1,000 different ways. Maybe there's a version of your life for all the choices you make and all the choices you don't. Maybe there's a version of my life where I'm sick after all. A version where I die in Hawaii. Still another where my father and brother are still alive and my mother is not broken. There's even a version of my life without Ollie in it, but not this one. Ollie pulls his hands out of his pockets, plucks the book from the shelf, and reads. He grins and bounces lightly on the balls of his feet. I come out of hiding. I walk down the aisle toward him. The smile he gives me is worth living for. Found your book, he says. And then this is like, she hit the little prince, oh my god. And it says, reward if found. And she said, snorkel with me, Madeline, off Molokini to spot the Hawaiian state fish, the huma huma nuka nuka apple eye. Cross that out. A visit with me, Madeline, to a used bookstore. Cross that out. And then she circled me, Madeline. So obviously this is like the book from before. Oh my god. The end. So this isn't good news, but these are 2 games that I recommend if you're like going crazy in the house with your family, and I'm assuming they're both on Amazon. Ruckus is like the most amazing game. My family has had this for years. I literally own 5 decks of cards, which is probably too many of these. But basically there's a bunch of different cards, and then you like steal them from people, and your goal is to be left with 1 card, kind of like Uno, and then you win if you only have 1 card left. So super fun. Yes, let's just say a chair was broken once while playing this game because it got so intense. Pit, kind of similar, but you're basically just like yelling things all at once so that you can get all of the same kind of card. You want like 1 type of card, and once you get all of the same, then you win. So also recommend Pit.